Hello, and welcome to today's webcast on Sibshops. My name is Aliza Weiss, and I'm a career support specialist at the Center on Transition Innovations. I'm also a doctoral student here at Virginia Commonwealth University, and I study counselor education and supervision. My interest, research, and experiences so far has been on siblings. I've been able to work with the Partnership for People with Disabilities at Virginia Commonwealth University, which led me to the Autism Society Central Virginia. While I was with Autism Society Central Virginia, they got me Sibshop certified. What this is a 2-day training, and you learn more about how to best support your Sibs. Through my experience as a Sibshop facilitator, I've grown to learn the true benefits of supporting our siblings. Today, I'll be sharing with you research on siblings of individuals with disabilities. I'll talk to you about why parents or guardians should consider involving their children without disabilities in a support network. I'll share with you the background on Sibshops, as well as observations and the feedback I've received from siblings, and then give you some ways to get connected. Sibling relationships are one of the longest relationships a person can have. They develop and grow through the lifespan. Research and resources tends to focus on parents and caregivers, and they also focus on the impact of having a sibling with disabilities on disposition and characteristics, but often neglect addressing the possibility for other siblings to bond with each other and talk about how that bonding creates similar experiences for siblings. What we know is that siblings are most likely to become the caregivers, making their ability to cope and problem solve that much more important. Siblings that feel supported and have a space to explore the complexities of their relationship with other siblings with disabilities gives them room to develop their sibling relationship. Contact and communication can be a large part of caregiving responsibilities. The family dynamics and the overall wellness of the sibling with and without disabilities. When looking at research from a study from Orzund and Seltzer 2007, it was found that siblings of an individual with Down syndrome had more contact with their sibling than individuals that were siblings of individuals with autism spectrum disorder. Another study emphasizes the importance of preparing and clarifying for future caregiving roles, responsibilities, regardless of the disability severity. Burke et al. Studied just that. They measured expectations of adult siblings of individuals with intellectual disabilities. Adult siblings that only had one sibling or adult siblings that were female had higher expectations of future caregiving. This finding remained regardless of the severity of disabilities. This study again shines a light on the shift through sibling care. We also know that sibling relationships, regardless of disability status, grow and change as siblings grow and change. In a 2015 study by Rossetti and Hall talked about how siblings change over time. They captured sibling voices, and it was apparent that stress was a response that occurred as siblings aged. This can be attributed to the balancing of support and caregiving, since adult siblings tend to navigate lifelong support needs. In the study, siblings noted being unprepared or otherwise uncomfortable with the transition due to its timing and the toll it took on their own lives in terms of their availability and stress levels. In a more recent study by Noonan et al. 2018, siblings talked about the anger they felt after their sibling was placed into a care facility without parental explanation. Another sibling even talked about how fearful he was when his parents would pass away and the impact it would have on his sibling. And because of that, he confessed conversations about future caregiving didn't happen. More research needs to be done so we know how to best support Sibs, but what the current research shows us is that they need support, period. So why should parents or guardians consider involving their children without disabilities in support networks? When we think of a family that has a member with disabilities, we need to think of the whole family. Each member plays a very important role and is part of a system that supports one another. To best support one another, each member needs to feel supported. Many resources that exist target parent and guardians, providing information, resources, research, support groups, and trained professionals to assist in family planning. My question is, but what about the Sibs? Throughout every milestone and every decision, siblings are there. They feel the rippled effect of every decision and may have their own hopes and dreams for their sibling. Additionally, they have their own needs and their own struggles. Involving siblings in networks where they can safely experience and navigate daily occurrences of being a sibling of a person with disabilities can allow for them to share coping strategies and feel less isolated. So some background on Sibshops. They began in 1982 with Don Meyer at the University of Washington. They've thus expanded and are in all 50 states, 8 countries, and now there's over 400 in total. Sibshops are opportunities for siblings of individuals with special health, mental health, and developmental needs to grow, support, and knowledge while having fun. This model encourages siblings to meet other siblings and to be experts of being a Sib. Sibshops also provides the opportunity for Sibs to share joys and concerns and learn how others share common experiences and learn more about what it's like to have a sibling with disabilities. To follow the Sibshop model, you need to have a facilitator that is first-generation Sibshop certified. If you or someone you know is interested in becoming a first-generation facilitator, you must attend a 2-day Sibshop training. You can visit siblingsupport.org to learn about upcoming trainings or even how to get a Sibshop training to you. It's also helpful to have a partner organization or a co-sponsor. It makes it easier to facilitate. For example, partnering with the Autism Society Central Virginia. I have a supervisor there that helps me facilitate by providing me with resources, materials, and she also already has an existing network of families that we reach out to. Another great resource is volunteers. I like to utilize Sibs that have more or less aged out of the group. It helps provide a mentorship component for the younger Sibs, and it helps them be a role model so they can still benefit from the Sibshop. So some observations and feedback from the Sibs. What does a Sibshop look like? I'll let the Sibs tell you. When a Sib comes to their first Sibshop, they may be hesitant to share about the sibling with disabilities. I used this warm-up activity for siblings to share about how they felt proud of themselves. So they were able to write down all the different areas they felt proud of, their accomplishment. We often find that Sibs have a hard time talking about themselves. Later on in the day, we used the same puzzle for them to write why they're proud of their sibling with disabilities. It was very powerful to show this exhibit of how they could be proud of themselves and their siblings and have it right next to each other. I had one Sib that also shared that she had a hard time giving examples of why their sibling made them angry. In this activity, I got the siblings to write down different ways, different positive things, different ways that they made them angry and other areas. And the sibling at first was really hesitant to share anything and said that there was nothing that made them angry about their sibling. Little by little, she saw other folks writing down examples. She was able to write down an example of her own. She said that she didn't like when her sibling stole her stuff and blamed her. She was also able to write down a lot of positive things, like you can see the amazing example, but she was able to share really a whole picture of what it was like to have a sibling for her. Sibs also may feel a sense of belonging from joining a Sib shop or a support network. I was chatting with a Sib right after our Sib shop, and she said to me, "It's finally nice to meet other people like me." Sibs can have a space to think about their future and their family's futures. The Sibs wrote down hopes and wishes for themselves, their parents, and their sibling with disabilities. One of my younger Sibs talked about how he wished his parents knew how to best support his sibling. Another Sib talked about how they hope their adult brother with disabilities gets a job someday, lives on his own, and is just happy. Like I said, Sib shops are meant to be fun and something that the Sibs want to go to. These conversations happen during some of our discussion activities and are sprinkled between high-energy games and arts activities. So what should you expect at a Sib shop? They can be flexible on how long and how often they meet. For example, mine are bi-monthly and meet for 2 hours. Sib shops are based on providing safe space for Sibs to have fun and be together. Each Sib shop includes high to low energy games, creative activities, discussion-based activities, and of course snacks. Combining these elements for Sibs to warm up and get to know each other, have fun, and share with each other their experiences. Today, we reviewed research on siblings of individuals with disabilities, why parents or guardians should consider Sib shops, background on Sib shops, and other observations and feedback from Sibs. To support the lifelong journey of being a sibling of an individual with disabilities, find a Sib shop near you. Not only is a Sib shop a safe space for siblings to have fun, but it's also an opportunity to talk about some of the stickier parts of life. When we think of support system for an individual with disabilities, encouraging the sharing of resources and opportunities for all family members is so crucial. If you are a sibling of a person with disabilities, there are many resources out there for you. To get connected to other siblings in Virginia, you can visit VAs for Sibs. Their website is www.vasibs.org. VAs for Sibs is a coalition of the Center for Family Involvement at the Partnership for People with Disabilities here at Virginia Commonwealth University, Autism Society Central Virginia, NAMI, the ARC, and Formed Families Forward. To get connected to an even bigger network of siblings, you can connect with the Sibling Leadership Network. You can participate in research, read about current research, learn about legislature and other news that impacts your sibling and you. Additionally, the Sibling Support Project has many resources and books for all siblings of all ages, caregivers, parents, and grandparents. Thank you for your interest in Sibs.